I actually was approached by whistleblowers from the city of Leicester, and my seat doesn't border Leicester. I'm the only seat in the county that doesn't have a border with the city. And the reason these people came to me is that they didn't have any faith in their local elected representatives to tackle an issue which they'd watched getting bigger and bigger and bigger year after year. And despite numerous reports and documentaries, dispatches programs, panorama, exposing the problem, it was actually growing in Leicester, not being tackled.
So you've called this Leicester's dirty secret. In fact, you've gone further. You've called it a cancer at the heart of our society in terms of the illegal slavery, the labour that's going on. That's strong words. And some people may say, or they may interpret them as divisive. Do you think it's worth being that strong to get this issue talked about?
Yes, because it's got to work on all levels. These people are making clothes for the fast fashion industry. People in the UK are buying a dress for £7 or £8, where the internet retailer concerned is on 100% markup on purchases. So that means that dress is being manufactured in the UK for £3.50 or £4, supposedly including the VAT. I put it to you, that just can't happen. What you've got is the exploitation of people. £3 an hour, £3.50 an hour. Can you imagine what sort of housing they're living in if they're earning £3.50 an hour? You're talking about 15 or 20 people in a terraced house for 4 people with one kitchen and 1 bathroom. No wonder the COVID virus is spreading in Leicester East. And also what you've actually got is an endemic subculture of poverty wages and oppression working out of buildings that are actually condemned. And in the real world, they wouldn't have any tenants in them. They'd be empty, they'd be demolished, and new buildings, new jobs, new development would be being produced in Leicester East. Whereas what we've actually got is the whole city the whole part of the city and a whole part of our community in Leicester being held back in a state of absolute poverty, and there's no way out of it if we carry on as we are. And I for one, think Leicester and the people of Leicester deserve much better than this. And it's a stain not only on Leicester, but on the conscience of our whole country that in 2020, this is allowed to go on in our country.
And so I've put this point to other guests on tonight's panel. I'm now going to put it to you. If we've known about this, it's been hiding in plain sight for many years. There have been dispatches, investigations 3 years ago. People in Leicester say this is just talked about openly. Why hasn't this been tackled before? And why hasn't this been slammed? And why are these places still functioning?
Well, it's clearly, it is the systemic failure, and that's being generous, of all the normal protections you would expect. So you've got a local council, you've got a mayor, you've got 3 MPs in the city, you've got the police and crime commissioner, you've got the police, you've got the fire service. These buildings would not pass fire regs. There is no fire safety there as far as I can see. The buildings are condemned. There shouldn't be anybody working in them. You know, I've spoken to people who've complained to the city council, and the response they've got is, as to why they don't inspect these buildings, is we never have any complaints from them. Well, given the nature of the work that's being conducted there, I very much doubt they're ever going to have any complaints from them. But I mean, you only have to stand outside the buildings to see that this shouldn't be happening. The health and safety executive and HMRC, they're also playing a part in low pay. And I had a meeting last summer with the modern slavery unit of the Home Office, and they said to me they estimated there were about 7,500 people in modern slavery in the UK today. I said, well, I think your figures are miles out, because I think there's 10,000 in Leicester alone.
Wow. Okay, so there's a comment coming from Stephen Gander on Facebook Live. He lives in Leicester, and he says that this has been getting worse and worse and worse over the last 30 years, and nobody has acted. Is the problem that entrenched?
It is. It's a subculture of dependency, and it is almost some of the modern slaves have almost got a Stockholm syndrome attachment to their employers, who are actually their tormentors as far as I'm concerned. And what we also know is that the internet retailers have really done well out of COVID-19, because effectively the government, we shut down all their competitors who've got real shops. So if you wanted to buy clothes, you really only had a choice of buying off the internet. And they have seen a 45% increase in their business. And that has forced these people in abject poverty to work round the clock to fulfill those orders, breaking the lockdown and spreading the virus. And that's why we've got this huge outbreak in Leicester.
Andrew, it's okay with you, one of our panelists tonight, Dr. Bharat Pankhania. He's a senior consultant of Communicable Disease Centre, would like to ask you a question. Would that be okay, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Fire away.
Thank you for the opportunity. I felt I had to ask. Poverty kills, and we know that poverty kills, and you've been talking about poverty being an issue in Leicester. I would also like to add that this was a deliberate government policy, your government's policy, to create austerity when none was needed. Over decades, the Conservative government has denuded local authorities of their powers to police their local areas properly. Will you now say something to central government to empower the local authorities to do the right thing, to have the trading standards, as Paresh Patel was saying, to have the facilities, the ability to do something, because poverty kills and austerity has killed a lot of people, which was absolutely unnecessary. And it was your government, sir. I'm very disappointed about it. I know you're not personally responsible. I hope you will take some seed from here and say so.